Okay, so I'm currently in a historical fiction phase when it comes to my books, and Lady Tan's Circle of Women by Lisa C. is so far the book that has stood out to me. It follows the story of Lady Tan Yuxian during the 5th year of the Chenghua's emperor. I hope I'm pronouncing these names right, but basically this book is based on a real character. This was the first female doctor to basically focus on women's medicine. So this follows Lady Tan Yuxian during a time where women doctors were not really a thing. And what I love about this book is it explores Chinese culture. First of all, there's the milk days, which is basically when you're a child, and this refers to the growing phase of a woman that's expected in Chinese culture based on this book. I'm not saying it's like that today. So there's the milk days, there's the hairpinning days signifying when you get married, there's the salt and pepper days, which is like towards middle age-ish, and then lastly there's the sitting quietly phase. This is when now you're old and gray, you have grandchildren, you basically you just like you're not really chilling, but old age phase. I found interesting elements of how noble women used to bind their feet for them to stay small and for them to be attractive to men, because men in those days really they had a thing for small feet, and they bound them to the point where the bones would break. Basically, in fact, they would break. So they would bind their feet, but also you'd make sure that every night or every day they are bound properly, you sanitize properly, otherwise it's a literal health risk. For instance, if you're a kiseng, do you call it kiseng or something? Basically, you are a mistress. Let's say you mistakenly fracture your leg or something like that, you'd be sent away and replaced by someone else. It was that deep. And then also male doctors were the prominent doctors during that time, and they didn't touch or see their female patients. So meaning that there would be a screen. If you've ever watched any like Chinese or Korean drama based in the olden times, there's a screen in front that prevents you from really seeing clearly the person on the other side. So the doctor would instruct from one side and instruct for instance, someone is giving birth, the midwife who's helping the woman give birth, what to do and deal with the patient without seeing or touching them, because that was just forbidden. Sometimes the midwife would convey the instructions, sometimes the husband would convey the instructions, but never the doctor would never have direct contact, which is why there was a lack in terms of women's medicine, and a lot of women used to pass away from illnesses that they could have recovered from if the doctor had seen them in person. And Lady Tan wasn't per se the first female doctor, because she did learn from her grandmother. I think she became more prominent because she recorded her cases, which were also put in this book. Some of the cases were real with a sprinkle of fiction, and it was very interesting just reading how she navigated certain things, like finding out that a certain person was murdered in her family and how they went about investigating that. So you explore the justice system, and then also you explore the side of marriage for women, for noble women, like how did they deal with mistresses replacing them. For instance, Lady Tan really struggled to produce a son. So if you don't produce a son by a certain age, there is a high chance of your husband getting a mistress because you cannot produce a son. There's also the time later on in the book, because now she's a doctor, she's well known, the empress was pregnant and she had to help the empress deliver the child. However, she found out that she was pregnant at the time that she needed to help the empress give birth, and yeah, it was just a lot going on. So even though she was going through her morning sickness and all of that, at the same time he had to make sure that child was delivered properly, otherwise her family would come to ruin. There's just a lot of drama, there's a lot of educational stuff in it as well. So if you want to read a historical fiction which is culturally rich, I would highly request Lady Tan's Circle of Women. And if you have read it, let me know what you thought about it. If you want to read it, let me know if you're gonna read it. And that's all for now.